Howdy folks, today we're gonna do another restoration of one of Realistic Fishing's reels. Now this one here is a very promising project. This is an old Shimano, I can't even tell to tell you the truth, but this reel is a great project because everything is preserved, but it's just very difficult to turn. Maybe there is dust, maybe some bearings are seized, but look, even the knobs are in good condition. Everything else is in good condition. So I know when we put some new bearings here and clean and oil and grease everything, this should be a great project, but I want to leave it for last because I'm fishing tomorrow. It's 4:30 p.m. I don't have time for that project. This is a spinning reel. It should be simpler. So we're gonna do this guy today. This is a 13Fishing spinning reel. It says Code Black on top, 1-3 on the bottom. I don't know which of the two is the name of the reel, which is a model or size or what is it. I didn't find anything else in terms of naming convention. But when you look at the reel, I don't know what is with his knobs. I really hope he has a dog to explain these knobs. But the reel feels the way you would think this kind of caliber of reel feels after, 100 to 150,000 miles on it. Now I will say immediately, to his credit again, just like the reel we restored, the most important stuff is I don't feel anything wrong with the gears. It's a little bit, I think cleaning will help, oil and grease will help, but there is nothing wrong with the gears. So at least when he is fishing, he's keeping dirt and sand away from the reel. So this reel, I think, when we clean it, it's not gonna become legalis. I can tell it has a heavy rotor, but we can fix a couple of things. The first thing is I could hear something when the spool was going all the way down, it was hitting on something. The other thing is, well, because I flipped it now quite a few, sometimes when you flip the bail, it will stop over here, not go all the way down. So definitely the bail needs to be cleaned and greased. Now we are lucky this time this knob seems to be removable, so we will find a knob of, I even think I have something of similar dimension. I don't think he will like my ultra slim knobs. Let's open it and take a look. Let's see if it looks like Daiwa or Shimano inside and what can we refresh. Here we go with our luck again. There is a removable cap, but no screw. Riveted again. I don't know. I'm not gonna throw this handle to tell you the truth because the knob is actually not too bad. It is spinning relatively free. I just can't release a product that I have renewed like this. But we're gonna put it in a little box over here. We're gonna give it to him. He can always put it back if he prefers this handle. But I have here another handle where the knob is virtually identical. Look at this knob. It's virtually identical to the way this knob was before it got chewed. So maybe I will take off this knob from this handle. Who knows what reel I removed this from. I don't use knobs that thick anymore, so no loss there. But let me try a couple of options and I will see which one I end up with. Folks, too much video about the knob, but can't catch a break. This handle with this knob. Where is the knob? Was running on classic 4x7 by 2.5, meaning the shaft diameter is 4. The new knob though is running on 5x8 by 3. So you need 4x8 by something. And the only ones that I had was, you guessed it, orange bearings. So we're putting 2 orange bearings. Finally a knob proper size on 2 hybrid ceramic bearings. This is extremely free and brand new. The other thing is, this, I believe, handle is just 5 millimeters longer. So when we put it, will give us a little extra leverage, which will be good because this reel has kind of a heavy rotor and can use a little bit extra leverage. I'm curious what is inside of here. Oh, look at this. Very rusty. But we have a felt drag stack. Oh, a whole stack. Everything is rusty, but we will clean it. We're gonna put the right grease on these bad boys. None of them are torn. All they need is a little cleaning and polishing, and it will be much smoother. Look at this, the texture is, this drag has not been used much. The texture is still, it's not like it's being compressed and completely smooth. This drag has a lot of life left, just needs cleaning and greasing. Oh yeah, this spool definitely, and I mean definitely needed cleaning. This is what they're supposed to look like, and we're gonna put some Digi1 Shimano drag grease. I believe that's their lightest grease. I have some others, but I want to put a light grease because you have 1, 2, 3 metal and 3 felt washers. You can't put a heavy grease here, it has to be light, otherwise it will require too much pressure to release even a little bit of line. Wow, look at this spool. Cleaned it with some water-based silicone cleaner. Man, looks pretty high-end. Lots of porting, well-greased drag. You can see some information here. The spool looks nice, man. This drag clicker here is not my favorite because it's unreliable. One day it's just gone. Do not tune these drag clickers if you have them. Don't try to increase the pressure by pushing it in. This thing is so unreliable. One day it's gonna snap and you're gonna lose it. Just let it be like this as long as it lasts. This one is perfectly tuned, to tell you the truth. It has better sound than my Legalis. I'll show you at the end of the video, but very happy with the spool. The line roller is, it's not seized, but it's barely turning. I don't know if it will have a replaceable bushing, but at minimum we have to clean it and oil it. Let's open to see if there is anything replaceable here. Oh my God, folks. This line roller runs on a bearing. The Legalis and the Sahara don't run on a bearing. And things look quite alright now. It's very dusty. I forgot to show you the other 2 washers. But other than dust here, if we clean it and oil it, I don't need to... Well, let me inspect the bearing, but this bearing is not in good shape. It's not seized, but it is rough. I can feel it. And this bearing is not a common size. It's pretty wide, but very narrow. This will be hard to find. See what I have, but usually they're much smaller here. I've replaced a bunch. Usually they're much smaller. Check this out. Turns out I don't have 5 by 8 by 2.5. But on the handle that we just removed, this bearing is 5 by 8 by 2.5. And this bearing is super smooth. It's not a hybrid ceramic, but I don't put hybrid ceramic bearings there anyway. I have tried, because this knob is spinning at very high speed and makes a lot of noise. So actually, this bearing will work out perfect. This one we're gonna replace because it's rough, and this one will go back. This one very smooth. That's what you want, not feeling sand inside. I mean, the whole thing was full of dust, and I think some dust fell between the races and I could feel it. Look. This was seriously dusty and dirty. Now we're gonna put some oil here. You don't want grease here because it will add resistance. Oh yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. The washers still here. Yep, they are. Where's the screw? I really should have removed the rotor before I do this, but I couldn't wait. Just couldn't wait. We are spinning free and smooth now. Oh yeah. Look here. Oh yeah. Well, this might be a short project. Somebody mangled this pretty good. That's not me. That's how it was. Go see the video when I opened it. I'm sure you can find it. Somebody mangled this, and this is not me. I'll try to open it, but might be a shorter project than we wanted. I think we got it. If you use only like this and you don't have a good tool, I don't have a good tool, to be honest with you. I have, but not here. You can strip it. Use this guy. It grabs it on all 5 or 6 corners. I don't know how many they are. And now you put pressure on all corners and you're not gonna strip. Yeah, we're gonna open it. Gosh, this is very familiar, but I don't know from where. But first, let's spend some time on the rotor, because I told you when you return it, it doesn't want to jump all the way back, but it's kind of weak and doesn't want to close completely. Man, everything here looks great actually. Just a little dusty. Yeah, let's try to clean and grease it a little bit. That should help. I don't see anything sticking, or look at the spring. Spring is not even rusty. Yeah, that's clean enough. Just gonna dab some grease here on all around the pin. A little bit on the spring. A little bit in the bed. This is cheap grease, but it is waterproof. It's actually marine grease. Wow, the other side is absolutely perfect. I'm just gonna dab a little grease I'm just gonna dab a little grease here. Very light grease, even lighter than on the other side, because there is no spring here, there is no nothing. Look at this, folks. We cleaned it with water-based silicone cleaner. Looks very nice, to tell you the truth, and it's very rigid. Now let me show you the bail flip. Watch this. This is what you want. Springy and smooth. And with the new smooth line roller, the rotor and the spool, so far everything is in top shape. Gosh, this is not coming off easy. This is not coming off easy. This is the anti-reverse and at the same time support. Folks, I am not opening this. These things are very hard. If you lose something here, it's very hard to find replacement parts. But we will oil this bearing with some TSI 321 oil. Very thin oil. I already checked it. The bearing is everything here. There is resistance that I don't want, but everything is very smooth. But these parts here are very hard to find, and I don't want to replace them if there is nothing wrong with them. So we're gonna oil them and let them be. I told you in the beginning of the video, I don't feel anything wrong with the gears of this reel. Here we go, folks. Managed to open it after finding all the freaking screws. The gears are, as I expected, in good shape. And everything is properly greased. There is not much to do here other than inspect a few things. This is a low resistance bearing. However, this bearing looks rusty. We're gonna inspect that. Man, we don't even need to add grease here. Folks, this bearing is smooth, but I mean, it barely turns. I don't know what it has inside. It barely turns. I'm gonna try to make a final replacement for this one. 7 by 11 by 3. I had a whole pack. I still have 3 of them left after this one, but I used like 5 or 6 of them on all kinds of weird cases. I think this bearing goes under the spool. Yep, this will reduce some resistance. Uh-oh, some heavy grease here. Let's wipe the grease completely before we put the bearing. I don't want any heavy grease close to this bearing. That's the other bad boy. This one, to turn it, I need both hands. It is so difficult to turn, and I will tell you why. This bearing is not worn out or anything, but look how it has, the races are open, it doesn't have covers. This grease here, well, I kind of removed it, but if you go a few minutes back, this grease that I removed from here is extremely heavy. Extremely heavy grease, good for the gears, especially on such reel. Heavy grease on the gears, good. But I think this heavy grease entered the races of both bearings, this and the other one, and now you have heavy grease in the middle of these balls. They just cannot turn anymore. See if we can find one more of this. 8 by 14 by 4. But let's clean the bed here before we put it on. The only reason I'm cleaning the bed here is not that it has to be clean to install it or to work properly. But if I don't clean it, I'm afraid this grease or dirt will get inside the bearing. I want it to be clean, so when I put a nice new bearing here, yeah baby, yeah baby, we're cooking now. iOS gear grease, iOS factory, 100% synthetic. Nothing but the best. I cleaned the gears as good as I can. It's not perfect, but I can tell you that's how good I clean them for my own reels. I don't really dip them in stuff or pressure washer, or I don't know how people clean them with some special dentist floss cleaning tools. I don't do any of that. I just clean them as good as I can with paper towel and some sharp tip Q-tips, and that's good enough for me. Man, it was tough to close. Very tight, this frame. No free play in the frame. Solid frame. Let me tell you that. It will not bend, but it should be smooth sailing from here. Alright folks, everything is back together. Everything works. And we are ready to do a final assessment and see where we landed. Now, I want to be 100% honest with you, and I don't want you to think that every time you put 3 Chinese bearings in a Chinese reel, which this is, you end up with a Ferrari. This is not what usually happens. The Ozark Trails reel is kind of like a miracle and an exception. I was really surprised with what turned out from that reel. But this reel, I will honestly tell you immediately before I describe the final result, this reel is not comparable to, let's say, 2017 Daiwa Legalis. It's not comparable to Legalis in terms of smoothness. And it's definitely not comparable to Legalis in terms of resistance. It just doesn't feel like a Japanese reel in any way at all. Even the drag doesn't sound Japanese, although I like this more than the Daiwa and Shimano drags. It just sounds nicer. Now, if you open it inside, the clicking mechanism is incredibly unreliable and easy to break. And the only reason this drag clicker has not broken yet is because Alex fishes with the drag cinched up all the way. I rarely hear any drag unless when he's testing it. But ironically, this is probably the reason the drag was preserved after putting so many miles on the reel. So, okay, it's not a Legalis, but let's see what happened actually. What happened, folks, and why I will still be proud when I'm returning this reel, is that everything we touched made a meaningful difference, at least meaningful to me. I don't know how much Alex will appreciate each of these differences, but okay, let's go through them one by one. This is the knob that we removed. It was not actually removable, and you can see it runs on plastic bushings. Brand new knob, runs on two hybrid ceramic bearings, and let me tell you, out of the whole reel, the knob is the one thing that spins completely freely right now. It's actually better than the aluminum knobs that I installed on the other reel. I don't know, maybe I shipped this better, but this one is, it spins completely free, and it will not add additional resistance when you're reeling. If you have old bushings here that are kind of dirty, you can get additional resistance actually from the knob not spinning freely on the shaft. The next thing I did, and I personally really appreciate, but I don't even know if he will notice, the line roller was stuck. It was probably in worse shape of anything in the entire reel. And when your line roller is stuck, then your line can almost like overheat due to the extra friction here and start to curl up. It will start to curl up. We completely freed up the line roller now. The line will slide through here with zero resistance. So this will additionally reduce the resistance that you feel when you're reeling. And it's not even coming from the reel. Some resistance can come from the knob, some resistance can come from the line roller if it doesn't spin freely. Let's say a few more words about the drag, even though I mentioned it already. The drag is now much smoother. I think he will notice that the drag is much smoother. Even though I didn't replace anything in the drag, I just cleaned it and re-greased it. And I used much lighter grease than what was there originally. I don't know if the grease was just old or it was heavy when they put it, but it was thick like honey. I think the drag is now smooth enough to fish like crappie, 10, 11, 12-inch crappie. You can actually play crappie with the drag now, and you can enjoy playing the fish. The bail is now pure joy to flip. It is snappy and just a joy to flip. And the last improvement we did was to the operation of the actual gears, the main gear and the pinion. Now the gears are running on hybrid ceramic bearings with virtually no resistance at all. And they have covers. So they're not gonna get grease inside. And the other thing we did is, you saw we put nice grease on the gear. We oiled the main shaft bearing, and I oiled the anti-reverse as well. I'm happy with the results now. The resistance is, like I said, it is no legalis. I don't want to pretend to have created a Ferrari, but I mean, can you hear anything? It is quiet and the resistance is very low. It is much lower than before. So very happy with the improvement in resistance as well. By the way, the gears, I forgot to mention, they're in good shape. They're not worn out. The reason the reel is not as smooth as Legalis is not because the reels are worn out. They were just not that smooth. They didn't have that smooth of surface when they were brand new. So the reel really has very strong gears, in good shape, new bearings, and this reel is actually ready for another, I don't know, 100,000 miles. This reel has no worn out parts as of right now. This restoration was so cheap that the video alone will pay for the entire restoration. But anyway, this is the end of this project. Many thanks to all of you who watched this video to the end, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.